Yeah, bottom left. You need to move your mouse for it to come up, but it'll say
Oh, that's
spectators.
fucking black magic right there. Holy shit.
Cam,
I
come on
didn't know.
in.
One sec. Bye. Love you.
You know it's 9 o'clock.
Oh,
Come in, 1 second. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm going.
There he is.
My planet needs me.
Right, so just for some context, this was done as a meme for one of these that Sophie ran like 5 years ago. when I
wait,
was at
what?
uni.
I ran
Yeah,
one?
You did something similar to this like 5 years ago, and I don't think we ever
When?
went through on it. 2018. I distinctly remember because this is when I was back reconnecting with you lot, or more accurately, reconnecting with Sophie.
Wait,
Because,
when?
so, right, this is going to be thrown back a memory lane. You know when JJ added me to the original server with all the other guys on it?
Auto thoughts, yeah.
Auto thoughts roll out. So just before that, and before I started actually going into the VC, you were saying
whatever
why
happened to
don't
that
there was
server?
like some random like meme joke thing where you were saying why don't we do a presentation on something? And because I was like fucking grim and really depressed, I was like, why don't I go and I'll actually contribute to this, because why the fuck not? Uni mates had ditched me, so this is like a legacy from back then. All I've done
What
since
the
then
fuck?
is add a single slide. So
What the
mate,
fuck?
my memory is fucking flawless. I remember this shit.
I genuinely do not remember ever coming up with this idea. Ever.
It was. I think it was
Uh,
something. I think it was something you mentioned in voice chat when we were playing Overwatch back then. It was just like we all need to present to each other about some random idea that we've got, or some random thing that we know loads about.
Oh.
So-
Okay, I might have not been there then because I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, well.
It was in voice. It was in voice chat at the time. So, yeah. Anyway,
Continue.
as you can see,
What SCP you gonna drop?
Sam Thomas.
shut the fuck up.
Wait, what did JJ say?
Sam Thomas,
no.
his brother.
Oh,
Discount Tyler 1, you mean?
Now I just need to
Oh,
find
dear.
the image.
Wait, which? Oh no, not the. Fuck you.
I know it's not Sam, but it looks like him.
Okay. Anyway, to all present, this is a top secret UK Eyes only briefing. Wait, wrong window. Wait, how the fuck did that happen? Hey, can you see this?
Yeah. Whoa,
Yeah.
my eyes.
I see.
Sorry, I'm. Wait,
Lights,
JJ,
camera unknown.
JJ, have you seen these forms?
No.
You might soon. Okay,
don't
so this is accurate formatting, by the way. I apologize.
red.
Everyone here is applicable. I had to remove a couple of names because things happened.
Why is Cam unknown?
Well,
Because
you know I'm Scottish. You know where we're born, right?
UK.
Cam, when were you going to tell us you were a member of the SS? What the fuck?
no, security services, you fucking div. MI5.
How old are you, Cam?
Super sport.
Ironically, Cam is the person I know the least about, so that's why this is there. So
You know I'm Scottish. Is that why you had to put UK, not KU, UK instead of England?
well, this is why I asked JJ.
to be
'Cause
inclusive.
this is how these forms are laid out. Anyway.
Yeah, Cam's not from the UK, he's from Sheffield.
Are you going to tolerate that, Mr. Khan?
I think he's AFK.
I was wondering why
Oh,
he
she's
wasn't
probably
responding. Shit.
Cam?
Mike mute.
He did say goodbye to someone, didn't he? He might have been called away.
Or I drove him away. I have that effect on
We
people.
saw that we knew he was in the SS and booked it.
He's out the country now.
You see, that's why I've never understood why MI5 chose the name Security Services as their acronym, because, come on, everyone, whenever they think of the SS, they don't think MI5, they don't think MI5, they think, the Gestapo! So, As you can see, this is from a reliable intelligence source. This is our intelligence imagery.
Oh my
Drone
god!
Identified
Oh my god!
Oh, the redacted roads as well.
Should we wait for Cam?
If you want.
I feel like he would like to see why he's been put as status unknown.
I honestly may have driven him away because he might have thought my second slide was racist. It's genuinely how those are filled out. I'm sorry.
I don't think he would.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. Cam! 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 No, I think
If
he's
we
been called
yell loud
away.
enough.
Yeah, if we all yell at the same time, he'll hear us out the window, right?
Or I contact my intelligence sources.
Hello,
Oh.
sorry about
Hey!
Hey, right.
We know you're part of the SS, don't worry.
Alright,
So
time to make the joke again.
alright,
Cam's not from the UK, he's
just-
from Sheffield.
just
that.
to just to reiterate, this is a top secret designated UK eyes only briefing. So apologies for anyone who may have to get kicked from the chat. Unfortunately, the UK Security Services designated MI5 were not able to identify whether or not Cameron Khan was UK national. This is legacy from 2016, by the way. Sorry. 2018.
I want
So-
the status unknown. It
Mate,
sounds,
you're fucking
it sounds cool.
Scottish.
Yeah, but it sounds cool, like status unknown.
Okay, at
Like
the
I'm
time,
unknowable.
at the time I did this, I didn't know if Cameron was UK. Cameron, for context, this was written in like 2018 when I first started reconnecting with Side from the gang, and I had to remove loads of names from this because it may have included some people that events happened.
Should have kept it in for the memes.
Oh yeah, what foreign intelligence asset? Okay, so as you can see, we have all got authenticated UK status with an assumed status unknown from Mr. Khan. This is an intelligence briefing on St. Augustine's. I have been designated an enemy of the state. As we can see here, we have an intelligence image provided to us by MI6 of
Mr. Andrews!
There he is.
It's just a
of the main target compound. The target compound consists of roughly 1 kilometer squared approximately. Mission information was acquired by primary trust intelligence
Fuck
source.
you. Fuck you. Sorry. carry on.
Deep trusted intelligence source, Thomas J, 7-year deep cover, 3 tertiary intelligence sources, A, Parker, B, Bennington, and S, Hessler. That's the point! Shut the fuck up!
Abs Bennington.
Jabs.
Intelligence analysis part 1, leadership history, designate banging. Leadership of the institution. Positives. The previous historic leadership of St. Augustine's embodied pure Catholic tendencies. Negative associated. They embodied pure Catholic tendencies. Descriptor. Designate Brendan A. Wall was, in fact, someone who decided that sleeping with the head teacher of the junior school down the road was a suitable Catholic tendency. Justification. That is a Catholic tendency. Pros. Excelled in making the school successful. Designate Brendan A. Wall was, in fact, very successful at making the UK top 10 multiple times for state schools. Cons. His succession plan was, to quote, Lamau wanting. Successor to Brendan A. Wall was Alsop. Designate. Herr Alsop was, in fact, a suspect head teacher. Pro. How to conduct relationships with regional schools through the West Wiltshire Federation for Schools. Negatives. The method of teaching such relationships with regional schools was interesting, involving inappropriate relations with regional schools. Designate Brendan A. Wall decided it was reasonable to go and have sexual affairs with the head teacher from the school 200 meters away in his office during school hours.
I'm sorry, what?
Classic Wall.
Just
To
a
the
question.
window.
Does anyone else?
To the
Does
wall.
anyone else remember that?
Yeah,
did it
I
at
do.
school, but
Right.
Yeah, I
so,
didn't know it was in his office, but I
yeah,
know
it was
about
like
the
it
fair.
was. So I heard from multiple sources it was in his office during school hours. So
Those sources, 13-year-old kids who thought it was funny.
nah, it
no,
was
they were
just
sixth
all going,
formers
"Yeah, I
who were
banged that
involved
one."
with the whole thing.
Didn't take part neither.
Extracurricular trips. Designate quality, banging. Positives, cool places. Negatives, suspect teacher choices to lead said trips, inclusive of Adam Sturdy.
Mr. Sturdy! No! What a fucking... I hated that man.
Helen H. Hicks.
Oh, I hated her too.
Madame Miché.
She was okay. That's my rating.
And it was before my time, but B.A. Wall. Pros of extracurricular trips. Hare, Reed, designate. Mr. Reed was an exceptional teacher who led an absolutely fucking stomping history trip to America. Cons.
He was the best.
The year following, Hare A. Reed's... Well, not Hare Reed. Actually, that's not fair. Hare Reed's retirement, the year of our departure from the school. Said history trip was led by Hare Adam Sturdy. A very low-rated teacher.
He was
Pros,
the
Malaysia.
worst.
Cons. Malaysia featured a certain individual from our year who was an undesirable misogynistic cunt.
Wait,
Pro.
who was that?
I think Anthony knows the person I might be referring to.
Does her name begin with F?
Andrew.
No.
Who?
Je- Top marks.
Yay! I'm gonna celebrate
Oh,
with a
JT,
cookie.
I thought you meant your son.
Him! Was
Wait,
he
who
the
do you-
one that was in the news for that group chat thing?
Local man.
No, although he would have been if he'd gone to the same school.
Oh, who was that? I can't even remember. Anyway.
It was the year above us.
No, it's
Actually,
the
wait, no, year below as
It
well.
was the year below me. It was your year, Anthony. I'm
Yeah, I knew people who knew those people.
sorry. Anthony, who do you think I was referring to?
I knew you meant Andrew. I was joking.
Oh, okay, I was going to say.
I said
like,
you, but
for context of designate a C. Khan and designate Jordan Maslin and
Hello.
Charlie Boardman. This guy was everything you don't really want to be if you want to be a good person at age 18.
It was our Bradshaw, basically.
This guy, so
Yeah.
for context, like he was one of those people that was a bit sleeper. If you didn't sort of know him, he seemed okay. But he sent me messages when he was in his first several months of university before he had to drop out, and he was sending me pictures of people he'd been sleeping with on the regular.
Oh.
That sounds like a
Um,
Bradshaw move.
Yeah.
And he
Seems
really
like
didn't.
Bradshaw doesn't sleep with anyone.
Implying Bradshaw
But-
gets any.
Yeah.
The thing is, to sort of reiterate the point, I sent him a message towards the end saying, I don't really care or want to see this. And he just kept following that up with more images. So I'm thinking, you're a twat. You're an actual, I don't usually use this word to apply to people, but a cunt. He was an awful person who I genuinely think is just a misogynist twat who is one of the worst people I've ever encountered. He dumped a girlfriend because she wouldn't sleep with him without a condom. Like, he was just
Dodged a
awful.
bullet there.
Yeah.
No, and she was, to sort of put the nail on the coffin, she was widely regarded as one of the nicest people in the school. So, yeah,
Who
whatever.
was that? I
Maybe
can't
Bradshaw
remember.
wasn't as bad. Bradshaw got cucked by a 17-year-old.
Yeah,
Is
but
that
Bradshaw
Rosie?
is a Nazi.
No, it wasn't Rosie.
no, it's
it was
Leah. In the
Leah Lane.
above.
Leah Lane. Or, wait, is it Leah Lane?
I don't remember her surname.
I don't
Yeah,
know
it
if
was
there
it
are
was
Leah
Leah, and she was absolutely lovely. She was a real treat, and Andrew basically dumped her because,
No sex.
yeah, well, no, not that. It was
So no
No
head.
no condom sex.
pas de protection. So, extracurricular activities, exposure to other schools. Negatives of activity, exposure to other schools and extracurricular activities meant exposure to other schools on
Ew.
extracurricular activities. They were shit. Facility status banging.
Provided you,
I can't read the writing. What's it
it's
say?
provided you weren't in the main building.
Positives. Technology facilities in the school were a match to many universities. Cons. Sevio.
What?
I'll get to that in a minute. Pros. Blue composite floor sports hall, which is, I don't know how it's unusual. You know, resin floors for sports halls rather than like that weird wood / timber laminate impression thing. Yeah. So we had that at our school and it was like really weird for us to have it, and every other school seemed to have like the laminate stuff, and falling over on the blue resin didn't mean that you just like get friction burns that rival that being dragged at 100 miles an hour behind a drag racer. Cons. The nicest area of the building was in fact the staff room. Pros. Wait. Oh, that's a con and a pro actually. Squeaky chairs in Hair My Ember's classroom.
Oh my god. Fucking...
Sophie might remember this
Yeah,
interaction.
I do.
Cons. Somehow the language classrooms were hotter than the Sahara Desert. Pros. 500-meter sports field. Cons. PE teacher designate Mr. Andrews had access to a 500-meter sports field.
I don't like how you
This-
haven't mentioned SCP Gordon yet.
I guess we'll get to that. For the squeaky chairs, for anyone who didn't know, Jack literally got thrown out of RE class because his chair squeaked, which was hilarious. He wasn't like doing it on purpose. It just squeaked. I got thrown out once because I looked outside and was like, "It's snowing."
The thing is, no, but
That's
you
fun.
don't do that justice. Like it wasn't. It's snowing. It was like Sophie level excitement of it's snowing.
That's probably why I got thrown out. To be fair, but your chair just squeaked.
No, to be fair, like a bit of background for that. Like Sam was told to stop squeaking his chair, so I said, "Oh, let's just swap chairs. He won't notice." So as soon as I sat down on the chair, it squeaked, and he's like, "Get out!" And then I was just stood
What are
outside
you?
for ages, and our head of sixth form like walked past, going, "Why are you outside?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she just left. And then, unfortunately, the exact same time, Mr. Mamba stood outside, bollocking me, going, "But why did you squeak the chair?"
It sounds like Mr. Matala.
At the same time he was doing that, our head of sixth form, or sorry, at this time we were in year 11, our head of sixth form the next year walked past going, "Excuse me, I thought you said you were out here because you didn't know why you were out here." And Mr. Mimba was like, "He is deliberately insulting me." And I'm like, that is not fair. Like, to be fair, I was planning on squeaking the chair. The difference is I massively underestimated the squeakiness of said chair. So, like, as soon as I switched chairs with Sam and literally sat down as like sort of normal, because he was like, Mr. Man was, in my opinion, a shit teacher because he just printed out lesson plans from the forums and read those lesson plans and copied them onto the whiteboard. He was doing that, so I took Sam's chair during said period when he was copying from the A4 printout from teachersforums.com, and I sat down. Little did I know that as soon as I sat down, he wildly aims his finger of 5'2" doom at me. "Get out!" "But, sir, get out!" And, yeah. Followed by about 90 minutes of him bollocking me between a free period and sort of lunch. So, whatever.
I'd make a small interjection here, just about Mr. Makibo and Will.
Yeah, I was gonna say about the time
In
with
fact-
Will.
You do it, Anthony, because you were actually next to him.
Yeah, this is a different teacher. It was an IT lesson, and we had this thing. I don't know if like a lot of schools had it, but like when the IT teacher did a demonstration, it would take over everyone's screen and just show what was on the teacher's screen.
Oh, yeah.
So
we
you're
had
just like seeing basically just a stream of
Yeah.
whatever they were doing. And like I asked Will a question about something that he had done that they were doing on the screen, and I'd missed whatever he said. And Will like pointed at something on my screen, and then like immediately got called on and was like, I can't remember all of it. All I can remember is like, "Are you a comedian?" And then Will had to stand up for like not the rest of the lesson, but the rest of the demonstration for like 10 minutes. He was just the only one stood up in the classroom. He pointed at my screen.
And I remembered something else about Mr. Mayumba. My neighbor, like ages ago, when they were getting taught by Mr. Mayumba, one of their friends was like dicking around, and so Mr. Mayumba pointed at him and said, "You stand up. You're interrupting the class. You're being such a and then someone else in the class just yells out, "A bell!" He goes, "Yes, you're being a bell." Knowing what the fuck he means.
A bit. You are a bit.
And a little bit of context. I'm pretty sure our school had an institutionally racist hiring principle. So
Yeah,
between the
yeah.
years, we were there between the years of 2008 and 2015, and in that time, we had 2 black teachers. Now, when you think about it, the number of teachers applying to schools is probably quite high. The number of teachers who are black ethnic minority applying to schools is also probably quite high. Of our teaching cohort of about 75 to 100 tutors, we had 2.
Not to mention that racist RE lesson and how the school reacted to it.
Oh yeah.
Which
It
one was
was,
that? Wait,
that-
was that
the one
was
I
that
was in.
Berkegate?
Yeah.
Berkegate.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Oh man.
Charlie, how
so
many
yeah,
how many teachers did we have that were not white? There wasn't
Shit.
many either.
No, there's quite a few.
but we also
Mr.
had a lot more.
Matala. We had Mr. Atahiri.
oh, the thing is,
we had more teachers though than me.
we had 2. I mean, I don't know if the right term is, but I'd say potentially token black tutors from the school's hiring who predated us. By the way, we were there when they were there, and I think Mr. Makibo left what was it, 2 years after we left, if that, or is
Yeah.
he still there?
Oh,
we
I
didn't-
don't know actually.
Just
we
like-
didn't have
Makito,
any.
I think, is still there.
I mentioned he
So
I
we
thought-
don't.
was it him that mentioned he was gonna leave, or am I thinking? Sorry,
I-
carry on.
I can't remember. Either way, we didn't have any Asian tutors, unless I'm really mistaken. I don't think we had any Asian tutors or Indian tutors in our school, which makes sense because the Catholic faith doesn't really like people if you're not black or white. Anyway, back to the intelligence report. Pros of facility status: inaccessible. Wait, that's the wrong way around. Oh, that's a good thing, actually, because it taught us that Wiltshire Council is, in fact, utterly shite.
Mm.
As you can see from slide 3, these things that were technically on school grounds, yeah, we weren't allowed to use them.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, takeaways, lessons learned, propensity for the tier 1 teaching staff at our school. We had some truly astounding teaching staff. Downside: don't be dyslexic or you'll get sent to the blue room.
God.
I forgot about the blue room.
What's the blue room?
Wait, so the blue room was basically our school's attitude to people who weren't full functioning intellectuals.
Oh no, we had something similar, but we didn't have a dedicated room to it.
If you were dyslexic, and forgive me, I'm not super au fait with this, but dyslexic rating above a certain quantity or certain value, basically was sort of automatically listed for Blue Room tuition, which was effectively coloring in, or like reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar rather than anything that required your brain.
Hmm.
So, a good friend of ours, William Saunders, he was consigned to the Blue Room. And to quote, even I had to pretend to be retarded to be in there.
Ooh.
So one of the things they did was see how many blocks he could put onto a piece of string in a minute.
So
Now-
how do you do? What's the score?
He said, right, this makes sense to JJ and Anthony. I kind of liked it in there. I mean, I didn't have to try hard in class. He entered this particular assessment and put 5 blocks on, to which he was told, "You've done really well, William," in a minute. He told me about this on the bus, and it wasn't until like 3 years later that I realized just how fucking awful that was. So anyway,
So I have
Abby.
many questions about that room.
no, so we had some other people that went into that room. Louise Bullock was another one.
Yeah, I
who
remember Louise.
Instantly became pregnant the moment she left school. Was also one of the few students who managed to really, really, really piss off Mr. Taylor, the IT teacher.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she really annoyed him. Because we had David in our class at the same time as Louise, and this was back at the time of the, and she used to say the most retarded stuff, and it was like,
Was it
Not-
racist?
no, it was just like brain breaking stuff. Like,
Yeah.
So David was ill one day, and it was something like Louise said, "Oh yeah, we tried to have sex, but it was too big."
Oh, that!
And like everyone in our class just sort of started smashing their heads into the keyboards. Mr. Taylor just looked at her with a sort of dial-up sound animation on his face. And he was just like, "What the fuck did I just hear?" And this was at the time when he just had a kid, by the way, so it was sort of poignant and relevant for him. And Louise came out some real gems. But
I think it's fair to say that was a guy who like barely cared about his job as well.
like, the thing is, Mr. Taylor was
Maybe not so
actually-
much didn't care about his job, but was generally very chill.
I remember.
Mr. Taylor was actually a really good IT teacher, but like many teachers at our school, was teaching at the incorrect level. So he would have been an excellent university tutor. He was teaching secondary school degenerate fucks like me.
I'm
Okay.
curious. What is the redacted?
Notice how many asterisks there are?
Oh. I got it immediately.
What?
Flow.
It's a name.
Oh.
Yeah. Relationships formed with goodest boys. Wait, what's the tiny print? I can't read it.
I can't read that.
Yeah.
Really sorry, Sophie. This isn't meant as sexist.
What did it say?
Goodest, goodest,
Oh, that's cute.
no, goodest boys rather than goodest guys. Again, legacy content. Met some
okay.
worstest boys. Andrew.
Mhm.
Identification of what is good and bad education. Mr. Coyle. Mr. Thatcher.
Oof.
Mr. Gordon. Mr. Pitcher.
Wait, you didn't like Mr. Thatcher?
No, I like Mr. Thatcher. I didn't
Oh.
like Mr. Gordon or Mr. Spitcher.
Fair
Some bad education. Analysis. Threat to children's education. Moderate. Key points. If you are not a believer, you can get fucked.
Done and done.
Frick.
threat to feeling of relevance for certain groups. Sir, are you quite? Top tier maths, circa 2012, may lead to negative results. I think Anthony might know what I'm referring to. Do not be diabetic, circa 2013. I think Anthony might know what I'm talking about.
What happened?
Fräulein Binden.
I don't really remember much of that year, to be honest. I missed like the year I found out I was diabetic. It was causing a lot of issues before I was diagnosed, obviously, because basically my body was fucked and no one knew what was happening. And even afterwards, it took ages to adjust to getting
Thing
it
is, like-
medicated and stuff. I think I ended up missing.
You missed 2.5
Something
months
like-
or 3.
I think it ended up being like a quarter of the year, maybe more.
It was more than that. Because what happened was he came back from Malaysia. So we had a school trip for 10 days to Malaysia. We went to basically like the Eton of Malaysia, which was, I think Anthony can agree with me, like an absolutely life-changing experience in many respects.
I was talking to someone here recently, I think.
That's
I
funny
remember.
because I was speaking to freaking Andrew Yup the other day.
Oh yeah, I've still got the little like pendant thing.
He's sent that to
somewhere, yeah.
everyone. He's such a fucking saint. Guy is literally too good
For a
for the
little
planet. He's
personal
like the
message on
male.
it.
He's like the male Sophie. Oh
What?
no! This guy was like he wouldn't say a bad thing about anyone, and his like grandma died, and he still came to school to be with us, even though his grandma was died in his funeral. Her funeral was there because he was like, I really don't want to make these people upset on my behalf. He was literally just like the nicest person. He was like,
What the fuck?
he wanted to work in fusion sciences for the International Fusion Energy Project, and honestly, just everyone on the trip loved the guy because he was the embodiment of pure. He was so good, honestly. But yeah,
It's gonna sound like a bit of a knock against the other people there, but he's the one person I really remember from that trip.
so like again, look, on that trip there were so many people. Like there was fucking Shoba Nagaratham, who Steph and the other medics really connected with because she wanted to go into neuroscience rather than cardiology, which was at the time really big. There was a bunch of Muslim guys who were really nice, and I had to end up sort of changing rooms with Andrew Stevenson for one of them because the guy was like like hardcore. I can never remember the one that isn't really bad, but the less awful sect of Islam, and he didn't want to sleep in the same bed as another one of the guys. But at the same time, Andrew was making gay jokes all the time, which was not good considering like hardline Muslim guys. So Andrew was like making gay jokes nonstop, and I think it came to the point where the like Mr. Packer, who was the head teacher at John O'Gaunt at the time, the school opposite ours, said, "Can you switch rooms with him?" And we're like, "Yeah, all right. I don't give a shit." It's like it's a massive queen-size bed. It's not like I'm going to be making homoerotic jokes all the time. So again, Andrew, everybody. But we were there for that trip, and during that, I think it's fair to say you've had like your first proper hypo or hyper.
Hypo. I think I probably had one or two before because I remember there being a couple times where I just felt really faint. Basically, just
Like-
low blood sugar.
We were in an ultra humid environment. Like Malaysia's about sort of 85-90% humidity most of the time. So when we got off the plane, we thought it was really hot, but we were just in the airport, so there was ventilation and everything. As soon as we stepped out for the 10 meters between the front door of the airport and the minibus that the school had, it was like walking into a fucking brick wall because of how thick the air was due to the humidity. It was really grim and something I remember to this day. So Anthony was with us at this time, and I think sort of third, fourth, or fifth day. Was it?
Yeah, I don't really remember much of when. It was when we went into the city, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
'cause-
sure. Because yeah, we went and found a doctor, and they like checked my blood pressure and stuff, but it all seemed fine. So they basically just
so
sent me
to
back
end-
to the school, which had like a really fancy kind of
the
hospital
medical
area.
center. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's like so like at the time Anthony was looking like he was fucking dying. So like we all had to wear like smart clothes because it was a fancy school. And Anthony and everyone, all the other guys wearing like shirt and tie. Except Anthony wasn't wearing much of a shirt at the time. It was more like watery fabric. Because
I
he
don't
was-
do well in the heat anyway. And
He-
yeah,
he was,
just
like,
made
he-
it, like, twice
he
as
was
bad.
basically dying. And then Mr. Packer was like, yo, shit, there's something wrong here, yo. I sent Anthony to the hospital. And like I think it was about 3 or 4 months afterwards, in just after you came back from Scarlet Fever. Again, Anthony's year 12 was pretty fucking
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, like we
Kind of
went to
forgot I had
Malaysia.
that.
We went to Malaysia. He came back and he was really ill with like some other stuff. And then between like January and February, he had like a bad case of scarlet fever. And then he came back on and off. And then like good old Queen Jackie took him to the doc. And I distinctly remember like I got messages throughout the day from one, oh shit, it looks like my scarlet fever's still here. So like 2, I think I have type 2 diabetes according to the doctor. 2, 3, ah shit, it's type 1. And it was like, hang on a minute. That explains a lot about Malaysia. Because the poor guy, like everyone else was sort of awake and whatnot, but Anthony just the day before they sent you out was just a bit sort of awful because it was also one of the hottest days in record in Malaysia.
Jeez, that's fucking unfortunate.
It was like what 42 degrees or something with the humidity.
I remember it being like high 30s most of the time we were there.
Oh, yeah,
I
something
still
like
had a
that.
good time, to be honest.
Oh,
I
it-
still
it
look
was-
back on it quite nicely.
It was a fucking banging time, but the poor guy was half dead. But yeah, it was pretty good. Except when he came back to school, we had a certain design and technology tutor, Miss Spinden. I shall show no forgiveness for you being absent. I don't care. You are not getting your marks adjusted or any special provisions because I am Miss Binden.
I didn't even necessarily want my marks adjusted. It was just she judged it so harshly. She judged it like not even as if I hadn't missed any school, but as if there was some like huge standard I should have been holding myself to, and like I'd still like done everything to the requirements. It's like pretty low stuff, but I'd gone and done this whole project of I can't remember what we were meant to do, but I know I'd done like a custom fish tank design or something.
Something like
And-
that.
And like after handing it in, maybe like a few days later, she asked me to stay after school one time and like just basically got out the folder that I'd handed in and went through each page saying, like, do you think this is A-level standard work or something?
Just
Like,
again.
shit, I don't know.
No, and I remember this distinctly because you were pretty fucked off about it. And I was in the same class as Anthony. I distinctly remember because I tilted the shit out of everybody else in our class because when we were doing the mock exam, I basically my joints in my hands are completely fucked to the point where if I'm writing with a pen for about an hour, then my hand goes into like hard spasm and just doesn't stop shaking for like the rest of the day. So I had a keyboard. However, being a good old PC Master Race fucking autist, I had a Cherry MX Blue Switch keyboard. Or
Oh,
more
no.
accurately, a Ducky Shine 3.
Oh, no.
So everyone in the class was sat at the fucking table. And I was there with my Wait, let's get it out, boys.
Please.
Sounds that loud.
Doesn't sound that loud. Oh.
For a 90-minute exam, at which point even James Fitzgerald said afterwards, that was a pretty rough one because of your keyboard.
I mean, Fitzgerald as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So,
Fits
like,
and
after that,
Fitzgeralds and
like-
different-
that was the exam which pressured Anthony into taking ownership of the Ducky Shine 3 for, what was it, 6 years?
Oh yeah.
About that. Anyway, so I was like really fucked up at the time because she was going after Anthony when we had fucking Andrew in our class, who was like, I don't know the correct word to assign it, but just a shit student. He just couldn't fucking design. And it was annoying because it was like, why go after him, right? Why go after Anthony when you go after Andrew, who actually makes sense to go after? Anyway, the lesson learned was, do not be diabetic circa 2013.
It's one of those just like really awkward things where you're just getting. I don't think it's necessarily shouted at, but just talked at really horribly, and then you're like being expected to respond, but there's nothing you can say that's gonna make it better. They just want to be pissed off with you.
No,
I
no,
don't know
no.
if anyone's had that kind of thing before.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I've
Really
had it a lot,
uncomfortable.
and it's one of those things where I kind of wish I could go back, have the same conversation, and this time piss them off more. Like, you know,
No,
when,
the
like,
thing
that-
is,
like-
with Miss
If I could have
Bindon,
gone back, I would have just left. I wouldn't have even gone to that shit.
fair
with
enough. but-
Miss Bindon, it wasn't even like her trying to make you feel shit. She genuinely, like, okay, this isn't meant as a slight to people who lean that way, but she came across as the kind of person who got off on other people being upset.
Amazing. That's
And-
exactly who you want as a teacher.
Like, no, she bollocked me once for like some really weird thing, and it was to do with like GCSE because our GCSE tutor left halfway through the year, unfortunately, and we got Miss Bindon for the rest of it, and she was just, again, she was someone who should have been teaching university rather than secondary school level, and she just seemed like the kind of person that.
Was that the
you-
English?
No, it's
teacher?
just DT.
Oh.
She kind of came across as someone who sort of just got off on other people, sort of crying.
Mm.
So, like every time she like bollock you, it's just like, yes, how shit do you feel? It's like,
Mm.
I'm sorry. It's like, you're so fucking shit. It's like, but I don't know, she was a bit rough. Anyway, secondary.
That's a bit of a tangent, yeah.
Just a bit.
Don't be a absolute tier 1 tutor because other schools will hire you. Or
It's probably a
if you're
good thing, really.
if you're a tier 1 tutor, do not be not Catholic because you're in a fucking dead end career. Catholic school meant that if you were not a Catholic, you were not getting promoted to head of department or any senior role for that matter. So you could either be Mr. Allsop, who somehow managed to become assistant head teacher as a Church of England person, or you fucking left the school, like Mr. Coyle, the best physics teacher, one of the best teachers I've ever had,
Good name
Mr.
for a
Thatcher.
teacher.
the best RE teacher for pre-A level students, and a very good teacher overall generally, and a cohort of other student teachers who left because, sir, I might be able to make a supposition here, but you don't believe in the Catholic faith, so I might have to make
Is
you
that canon,
redundant.
Liam?
No, if I was canon,
Is that you, Canon Liam?
No.
if I was canon,
I remember if you could if you could get like, I can't remember how this worked, but they checked with the local priests.
they
or,
got
like, the
them to
local
fucking
churches.
sign a letter to get you a bus discount.
Yeah. I
Sophie,
think
you
you could
must have
still get.
experienced
Wasn't
that.
it like you just got the bus for cheaper or something if you could prove you went to church, or
So
was it
for
to get the
for
bus at all?
for the guys who weren't at our school, it was literally like £1,200 a year for the bus at our school from any other
Fucking
places that weren't fucking the city, the town the school was in. If you got a letter signed by your father, the great Catholic Church, it is an institution of mercy and compassion. If you didn't get a letter signed by those fuckers, then you had to spend the full 1,200. If you were a good churchgoer and your priest signed the letter to the school, you got a 50% discount.
Jesus Christ.
And all of a sudden, your £1,200 bus to school every fucking year cost 600 or less. Bear in mind, this was fucking subsidised by Wiltshire Council.
Yeah, school was shit.
Anyway, that's our intelligence
I
brief.
am going.
That's
Wait,
our
clap. Yeah.
Oh,
I have many
vote we go
questions
straight to
about the
DEFCON
Blue
1
Room.
and just nuke the place.
I agree.
I second it.
yeah, Exterminatus.
Hey, someone learned.
Hey,
even though that wasn't even
JJ,
part of the
Today.
content.
What's the
I have access to Exterminatus materials.
Rips off face mask. You're nicked, mate. This was your fucking sting.
Shit. Wait, MDP, is that you?
Got a license
rips
to be
off
giving
face
out
back.
secrets.
Yeah.